Hi, I'm Nikonya, and I'd like to share with you my bodacious banana bread. Let's get started. So we need to measure out 2 cups of all-purpose flour. And what I'm going to do is put all of my dry ingredients in here first. And let's do that. And let me get a knife over here, butter knife, just so I can see. If you can see, that's 1. So we're going to do 1 more. I'm a little bit of a messy cook. I usually make a mess everywhere. And let's put a little bit of that in there. And there's 2 right there. So you've got 2 cups of all-purpose flour, and then you're going to use 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda. And just about every little baking soda box comes with that little measuring thing inside, if you want to use it. So there's 1 teaspoon. And usually, if I wasn't being super accurate, I would just do the other half of the teaspoon. But since it's for you guys, I'm going to do the half with an actual half teaspoon. So here's the half teaspoon here. And there's the half. So that's 1.5 teaspoons baking soda. And then you're going to have 1/2 teaspoon salt. And that salt is very important. You can taste it when it's not in there. So you've got a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. You see it all measured out. I'm going to put it in there as well. And I've put all those dry ingredients there in that 1 bowl. The next step let's put our flour aside. What I'm going to do here, I have a piece of foil, but you can use parchment paper if you like. And I've got my sifter. And I'm going to pour my ingredients inside the bowl. And it's going to make a little bit of a mess. That's okay. But I want to sift these ingredients. We're finished with this bowl, so let's set it aside. And that just helps meld everything together really good. You can see, here's the flour before and the baking soda and the salt, but there it is afterwards, and it's all mixed together. It just gets in your cake real evenly. And usually once you get to the bottom, you'll see all that extra in there. Just, you know, you're cooking, it's your kitchen. Go in there and just get all that out there in the middle. You gotta make sure you get it all in there. And shake your sifter around. So there's your dry ingredients. And all you gotta do now, when you get your bananas and things mixed, is just pour it in. So next we're gonna do 1 cup of sugar, which I've already measured out here, is the 1 cup of sugar. And you can see I've got 3 bananas in here, and they're overripe bananas. Overripe bananas are very important. The riper they are, the better. The bruising and the, depending on how rich you want that banana bread to taste like a ripened banana, the better they are. The blacker they are, the better. These are overripe bananas. This is gonna make another good banana bread. But I even like them a little bit more riper than this. And that's what these were. So this is the overripe. We have 3 inside. You're going to have 4 overripe bananas. So you've got 3 you're going to mix with the sugar. And then you have 1 set aside. I set 1 aside because I want it to be a little mushier. And you're going to mix it with your spatula later. But right now, let's just mix the 1 cup of sugar and 3 overripe bananas until you get a good mixture. They're going to liquefy. I think that's pretty good. You can really smell. I wish you were in my kitchen because you can really smell the bananas. But there, see how that moves around? That's a movable mixture, and that's that sugar and the overripe bananas have mixed together. Oh, I almost forgot. You gotta preheat your oven to 350, and I've already got that started. So preheat your oven to 350 before you get any of this started. At this point, we are going to, once you've finished mixing the liquid bananas, let's add in, I've melted 1 stick and a half of butter. That comes to 3/4 cup. So you've got a stick and a half of butter melted. You're going to pour that into your liquid mixture. And we're going to put this bowl aside. And then you're going to put in 1 teaspoon. So we're going to get our little green teaspoon again. And you can just eyeball that if you want, but for measurement's sake, we'll do the 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And I'm just going to put just a little bit more because I really like vanilla. And then you're going to mix that. You're going to mix that also with 2 eggs. Make sure your eggs are at room temperature. You're going to need 2 eggs. And I always, this is one of those mama things, break your eggs into a separate bowl instead of in the mixture that you already have, because you don't know if any little baby chicks are making in there or if it's a bad egg. So I don't know if the baby chick thing is a real fact, but I break mine in a separate bowl to make sure you don't have a bad egg, because that can happen. And it helps with, if you're not that good of an egg breaker, with the shells. So you've got 2 eggs in here. And I'm going to go ahead and start the butter and vanilla, mixing it together. And I'll add my eggs in as I'm mixing. So here is your liquid mixture, and here's the dry ingredients still. We've got to add those. And for you folks who would prefer to use a cake flour, you can use that. I do use all-purpose flour for this recipe. Cake flour is, if you're going to use that, you would need to use, for every cup, add an extra 2 tablespoons. So, but here's our mixture here of our dry ingredients. I'm going to put some in, and I'm going to mix at the same time. For banana bread, it's not necessarily as important to over blend, and it's a little bit of a thicker mixture. The bananas are really incorporated in there now, and this will be really good to eat, but you get really sick from the eggs. So what we're gonna do is mix in, here's our banana, and this is the extra bananas. This is the 4th banana. Now, generally, I'm gonna add another banana, which will make 5 bananas going in. You see this little tip here on the end? You're going to want to pull that off. That's a little bit bitter. It doesn't taste too good. And I pull off all the little strings as well. But you can cut that in. Let's do that instead of mixing it. Let's cut it in into chunks. You'll have these big chunks of banana in there. And at this point, if you want to add nuts or pecans or dates or raisins or cranberries, you can. Now remember, at the beginning of the recipe, it's 4 bananas, but I'm adding 5. I like mine very, lots of bananas in mine. And some folks even use 6. But, and again, I'm pulling off all the strings and the end. Oh, got a string attached there. I'm going to mix that just a little bit. You can fold it with your spatula if you like, but I'm going to mix it. And there, my folks, is your banana bread batter. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to spray. I'm going to cheat. This is a spray that has flour inside, but you can butter it and then sprinkle the flour on. But I'm going to do it this way first. Make sure you get all the sides. I use a bundt pan. You can use a loaf pan if you like, but I prefer to use a bundt pan. It's just your preference. It will fit in a loaf pan though, 9 by 5. And I just make sure that really gets sprayed good and covered well. So now we're gonna put it in our bundt pan. some there. Turn it. It's so tempting to lick these bowls, but I would encourage you not to do that. You can get really sick from the eggs. And what you're gonna do is smooth the top of your mixture. Just go round and round to make sure everything's in there. Before we put it in the oven, make sure you tap it on the counter. Tap, release, tap, release, tap, release. Because what's happening is all the air bubbles that might still be in there from mixing and adding all the ingredients that are still there. So you need to pop those because you don't want to have little holes all in your cake batter. We're going to put it in the oven. Now I have a convection oven, and I live at a higher altitude. So I'm going to bake mine for about 40 to 45 minutes. If you don't live in a higher altitude or have a convection oven, would most likely bake it for about an hour and 15 minutes. Honestly, I eyeball it and just look to see when it's golden brown or when a knife or a toothpick inserted in the middle comes out clean. So that's really just the best way to do it. So we're going to bake this for a while. I do put my cakes on a tray just because. I don't understand why I do this. I put my cakes on a tray. You don't necessarily have to do that. And I do have it in the middle of the oven, the middle rack. And I don't leave the rack above that. I bring that rack down below, and it's on 350. And I'm going to set my timer for, let's do a cook time. We're going to go at 40 minutes for mine. But yours, you might have to cook yours longer. I live at a higher altitude and this is a convection oven. It cooks really fast. So 40 to 45 minutes. But the recipe, I would encourage you to check it at 40 to 45 minutes. If it's not done, cook until an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. Okay, I've taken the banana bread out of the oven. I ended up cooking it for approximately 43 minutes. And this is it here. Looks really good. But let's just make sure that it is finished. So you can put your toothpick or anything wooden. And you see how that comes out clean. This is a kebab stick. Now you will need to put it on a wire rack or on your countertop, preferably a wire rack. I can't find mine. So just let it cool for 10 to 15 minutes before you put it on your plate. Okay, now the cake is cooled for 10 minutes. So what we're going to do is turn it over. What I normally do is this right here. And there's your banana bread. Oh, I got a hole over here. We'll turn it on this side where you can't see the hole. But here we go. That's the banana bread. And if you want to, you can put some, this is powdered sugar in here. Ooh. Just sift it on top. Don't do what I just did there. But we want to make it really pretty, so we'll sift it on the top of the cake. And there is your bodacious banana bread. And here is the inside of one of the slices here, and of course the powdered sugar on top. I'm going to try a little piece of it. It's really hot still, so let's just try and see how it tastes. That is really good. Delicious banana bread. However, the next morning, it's really good. So, with a cup of coffee, morning devotional, and your banana bread. Bodacious banana bread.